Greetings everyone. Today we continue our discussion of Prabhuji's book, Bhakti Yoga, the Path of Love. And in today's meeting, we are presented by a special challenge. The following sentence is such an important part of Prabhuji's message that it is the first thing that you will see while visiting Prabhuji Mission website. It offers us a priceless guidance, and I have no doubt that it will become a subject of contemplation of the spiritual seekers in the present as well as in the far future. So I feel very humbled by commenting on it. Prabhuji writes, "Do not search for me. Search for yourself. You do not need me or anyone else, because the only thing that really matters is you. What you yearn for lies within you as what you are, here and now." In the presence of the Master, in the presence of somebody who is nobody, as Prabhuji so eloquently writes in the beginning of this preface, one may experience ecstatic states. The Master realized the Self, which is the essence of our being and the objective of our innermost desires. For a moment, we may find ourselves in that infinite space that Prabhuji described earlier, filled with peace, silence, love, existence, consciousness, and infinite bliss. And it is only natural that if we receive this grace, we will be filled with attraction and will develop a very strong attachment to someone or something that we perceive to be the source of those experiences. But Prabhuji writes here, "Do not search for me." And he continues saying, "Search for yourself." And I feel there is such a priceless guidance here. Throughout the years, Prabhuji told us that those moments of grace that we experience in the presence of the Master, those divine moments filled with bliss, peace, love, they are given to us in order to encourage us. They show us that what we search is real, and they guide us, fill us with energy, fill us with inspiration to continue our own exploration toward realization of truth and our real nature. But this path is so demanding. There are so many possibilities that it will go wrong, and it requires so much for us. So it is so easy to give it up and rather become very attached to the joy that those experiences give us, and to search for them in a way like the next fix. To put aside our efforts. Because in those moments when you have a taste of the divine, you feel complete. You feel that absolutely nothing to be done. You feel fulfilled. You feel completely happy. But this can be very deceiving, because as history showed us time after time, like in the story of Cinderella, when the spiritual master, when the body of the spiritual master is no longer present, if we're not taking the opportunity that we have in this association, if we don't take it in the right way, then all this incredible experience dissipate in a moment. And then we find ourselves as Cinderella with the pumpkin instead of the chariot, and the rats instead of our beautiful horses. And then, as it often happens, when there is no search, when there is no yearning for what true realization, then religion becomes political, and then the focus of our life shifts to something completely different from what we initially aspired to be. So here Prabhuji guides us. Search for yourself. We should take all those moments. We should take the words of the spiritual master. We should take his guidance. And we should use them as the guiding light. We should use them as the landmarks on our own journey. And then Prabhuji continues writing that what we are looking for, and this is another point, he says, you do not need me or anyone else for that purpose. And I feel that this comes from the point that in general, in our life, in this experience of subject and object, we're so accustomed that certain things in life cause us to suffer and we try to avoid them, and other things give us joy, give us happiness, and we pursue them. And the problem with this dialectic is that we constantly focus on something outside of us. In Experimenting with the Truth, another beautiful Prabhuji's book, in answering the question about responsibility, Prabhuji writes something in line of that we do not want to take responsibility. So if we suffer, it's because of our parents, it's because of our society, it's because of others, and if we will become enlightened, it is because of a guru, because of God, which is true. And I feel it's such a delicate point because it is so important to be in reality and to understand these scriptures. Say that we cannot possess the self, we cannot possess the divine, we cannot achieve it by any means, as we discussed earlier. So when we realize the self, it is through grace only. But it can be, again, very deceiving. So on one hand, we pray for the mercy and the grace of the spiritual master and of the divine. We say in Gaudiya Vaishnava tradition, Yasya prasadam bhagavat prasad, only by the mercy, which is so true of the spiritual master, one can receive a benediction of the divine. But at the same time, this mercy is manifested in our own effort. Prabhuji writes that a spiritual master is not somebody. It's a place. It's a place where we meet ourselves. It's not someone other than us. Is the embodiment of our potential, is the embodiment of what we are right now, and we're just not aware of it. We experience all those moments of grace because a spiritual master is an open door. Is an open door that through that door we feel that freshness, that breeze of the self. So we need to do our own effort. And it's extremely uncomfortable. We need to do our own inquiry. We need to do our own mistakes. We need to fall 1,000,000 times and stand up and continue again on this edge of the blade, as Katha Upanishad says. So sharp, and it's so easy to deviate. We should do this work. And this is what Prabhuji encourages us here. Do not search for something other than yourself, Prabhuji say. Do not search for something outside of you. When the grace will come, it will come. But you need to create a fruitive ground, as we spoke before. You need to clean the mirror of your heart so you will be able to reflect this grace, so you will be able to be open. And Prabhuji so beautifully explained that in the revelation, in the Hebrew tradition, and the revelation of the Mount Sinai, when the Moses climbed to the peak of the mountain and the divine descent, and they meet there. In a similar way, in our relation with the spiritual master, in our relation with the divine, we need to do our effort. We need to walk our path. We need to do everything that we can do. And this is the way to attract grace. And this is another beautiful point that Prabhuji shared with us, the very fact that we aspire to do so, the very fact that we walk this path, the very fact that we're able to do those efforts, already a manifestation of that grace. That grace manifested in two ways, in our effort and in the divine presence that descend upon us when we are open, when we are ready to receive it. And Prabhuji continues here saying that what we're searching for does not lie anywhere outside of us, not in some heaven, not in some transcendental place, or that transcendental place is hidden in the core of our being. And this is a very important point because this guides our exploration and our efforts in a very different direction that we would walk naturally. Because as we just spoke earlier, we have this tendency that whatever we experience, good or bad, it always comes from outside of ourselves. And as Prabhuji explained in many places, we're not able to perceive the divine in this way. Divine, or our real nature, lacks objective qualities. So if we're searching for that in the same way and with the same attitude that we search for joy in this life, for happiness, we will be disappointed, we will be frustrated, and we will reach nowhere. So we need to direct our search toward ourselves and use all those priceless gifts that life gives us through the spiritual master, through the divine, in order to guide us, in order to encourage us, in order to inspire us, and in order to persevere in this search. And another thing that Prabhuji concludes this sentence saying that what we're looking for, not only that it's not lying outside of us, not only that it's something external, something, it doesn't lie in some future. And this is, as Prabhuji explains, so important. Because right now we feel that we feel this lacking, we feel this emptiness, we feel not fulfilled, we feel that we are not enlightened. And if we believe, if we aspire, we feel that one day we will be there. We are not right now. I will never forget this beautiful conversation. We had a walk with Prabhuji very early morning around Tompkins Square Park. And then during the walk, he suddenly asked me, Govinda, are you enlightened? And I said, no, I don't think so. And then Prabhuji smiled and said, so you're aware of it? I said, yes. And he said, this is where you need to look. Because that awareness, the one who is aware, is the one that you're searching for. And that one, as Prabhuji writes here, is not in the future. It is now. And it's also not somewhere else, in some other place, within the set of other circumstances. But it is here, in this very moment. In this very moment that we neglect and we disregard because we feel that the self is not present here. The divine is not here because we do not experience that. So Prabhuji say, no, you should search here, in this place, in this situation, in this life, in this moment, and in this moment in time, not in some future. Because if you will ever be able to find, it will be only now, not in the future. And it is also so important because our natural tendency in life is to pursue things that we do not have. And everything promises us that if we do our efforts, and everything promises us that if we will do our efforts, if we will pay the price, we might be able to achieve them in the future. So our attention is completely directed toward that time. And this moment, and all the moments from now until that realization, or until we achieve that goal, become irrelevant. They become only a mean. They become irrelevant. They become only a means. A certain time that we need to pass until we will achieve our desired objective. And Prabhuji say, no. What you're searching for lies within you as you, which is so confusing for us because when we look, I do not see anything. I see this personality with all its limitations. And Prabhuji would say, look deeper. Because the very fact that you're aware of that means that there is something other than this. And it is here. And it is now. Jai Prabhuji.